Today's Daf is Daf Hayomi testing k'tubos. We learn for Yosef Israel ben Chaim Michal and Elazar ben Reuma. Again, a reminder to do Pruzbul, which we'll do Mitzvah for those who want right after we learn, and and reminder that again on Sunday we'll learn at the regular time. Only after Rosh Hashanah will we switch to 5 o'clock. Yesterday we got down to the bottom of the page. Remember what was the discussion yesterday? We talked about Nechsin Mulud. Stuff that assets that a woman gets either after she is engaged or even before she's engaged or after she's married, but they fall to them, they're not written into the ksuba. So what's the deal? The deal is this. The rabbi said that if a wife is taken into captivity by the goyim, the husband must redeem her. In return for that redemption, he's entitled to eat the produce of her assets. That's to eat the produce of her assets. However, they're her assets, and therefore we must stabilize them. The concern is over a long period of time. If, let's say, the things disappear, she won't have anything at the end. So that's why we say that we try to protect her assets. Okay. Now, what assets is he entitled to? He's eat the produce, but only of the stuff that he knows are related to that. Hayisa, 3 lines from the bottom of the line, but she didn't want her husband to get her assets. So what did she do? Let's say she had a piece of property. So she wanted to evade star that she's giving him to her daughter, but it was a fake. She got married, and Rashi says she told the Adam, "It's not really a matana. I'm just trying to make it look that way. It's a fake document. I'm trying to make it look that I'm giving it to my daughter so that the husband will not have assets to it, right? Will have access to it. Okay. So in which she got married, and of course, what happened? Igrisha, she had given it to her daughter. Now, also come up some of these cases among family where there's never any family fights. The daughter said, "No, I got a star here." Right? Irving has adjudicated many of these family issues. Also, the comment of Nachman. For Nachman, the daughter says, "No, it's mine." Nachman tore up the star. He said he knows it's a fake, and he tore it up and he gave it back to the woman. Also, Rabban said, "What's Rav Nachman doing?" Coming up Mukva, he went for Mukva. Marukva was the Av Bezdin, and he said, he said to him, "Chazimar Nachman Chakla." Look what Nachman calls him, Nachman the farmer. Instead of calling Rav Nachman, he called him, "Look what this farmer has done." Hechi mikra shtar, then she tears up a star, gives it no value of the hechem. Tell me the whole story. I want to hear the whole story. Don't just tell me the end of the story. It all started when he hit me back. Don't tell me the end of the story. Tell me the beginning. What really happened over here? This was the story. The woman was trying to evade her property from her husband. So she gave the Amalei. You're talking about a star of evasion? I'm quoting to you. Amar Shmuel said, "Shmuel, Mora Harani." Shmuel was allowed, even though he wasn't the Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael, but he says, "Mora Harani, I was deputized. I was anointed. I was appointed to be a Mora Hara. I was a pastor in Shilas. In Yavu Shtar Mebrachas Liyadek Renu." Shmuel himself said that if somebody shows me a star that was just written to evade, wasn't me, I'll tear it up myself. Amalei Rav Nachman. Okay, that. Time am I because the person doesn't stop want to give away his assets. Who would just write? Which guy would just give away his assets to anybody? You're not. Somebody comes to you and says, "Go here, take all my assets." He's not serious. The person wouldn't do that. There, you would tear up the star. To other people, to non-relatives, but she would give it to her daughter. So who says? Rabbi said to Rav Nachman who had torn up the star, even though Shmuel had confirmed that, you do those things, that you tear it up. He says, that's only if he gave it to somebody else, but his own daughter. People would give things to their own children. If, what did Mayor Daley say? If you can't have your own children, what are you good for, right? And they caught Daly giving out all the city contracts. But Daly said, if son was in the insurance business, he gave him all the insurance business. He says, if a father can't help his son, what is he good for? So father wants to help out his son, right? So you don't give everything away. Person wouldn't give everything away, and therefore, even with a daughter, the person protect himself. Therefore, she didn't really need to give it over here. Meisvei, I'll show you, evade her husband from getting her assets. Kate said, so what should she do? Koseva, she writes shtar pasim. Pasim means like to conciliate. You ask him nicely. Rashi says, Mafaisa, listen, please take this gift. Just because I don't want my husband to get it. I don't know what's going to happen with that wedding, etc. So she writes a shtar pasim lachem. Divram Shmuel. That's what Shmuel says. You can do such a thing. However, the Chamomrim ratzim etzachikba. If she wants to, whoever she gave it to can joke her and say, no, I got a star. What's wrong with the star? There's Adam signed on it. It says that I'm giving it, you gave it to me. What's wrong? Until she writes it this way. She writes to the person that she's giving this, so to speak, giving, quote unquote, the asset to. Here's the deal. I'm giving it to you from today when I decide. When I decide, which means to say, if the marriage doesn't work out and she wants to get it back, she'll say, okay, I never agreed. I said from today when I decide to give it to you, but I didn't want to give it to you. Right? If she wants to stay with the husband and she wants to give it to him, or if she wants to give it to the person, she could say, when I want to give it, I want to give it away. I didn't want to give it now. If you didn't write that, in other words, when I want to do it, Rashi explains, if she wants to take a tomer, ani wrote said matara v'nim kaimas l'mafreya. If she decides at the end she wants to give it to her daughter, she could say, yeah, I agree to give it to you from that day, or give it to somebody else. Right? He could take it. And he wrote, Vim says, she could also say, I don't want to give it to you. It's up to her. So unless you write that if you didn't write there, it's mashma that the person does get it. The fact is, it's a shtar. Why shouldn't you take it at face value? If you wrote in it, when I decide later on, I want to give it to you from now. But if you didn't write that in there, just wrote a shtar, here's as a gift that the recipient could keep it, whether it's her daughter or a friend or a neighbor, whoever she gave it to. So you see over here that it's not so simple. You can't just tear it up and say that a person wouldn't give it away. So here's the deal. If that's fine, you have to do that if you gave a partial gift. So that's possible that maybe you really meant to give it to her, unless you use that lashon. The recipient could say it's mine. But if she gave away all her assets, if she gave away all her assets, we know that a person doesn't want to give away all her assets. She only gave away all the assets to evade it from her husband. So in that case, that's where Rav Nachman tore it up. Says Gemara, wait a minute. So if you're saying though that the shtar is not good, that it was just a shtar of evasion, it didn't really mean anything. Be loken, and if she didn't get it, if the person she gave it to, or the person that she sold it to, whatever you wrote, the shtar was a fake, and he tore it up. So if it's invalid, so the husband should be able to get the assets, at least for the payros. Rashi says likninu bao the shmuel, because of this kula and Amr Lokani, even the Lokani, if it's not invalid, likninu bao v'yochel payros v'yershani tamas tachta. As we said before, remember she owns the asset. Let's remember she owns the nechsei maluk, and therefore the husband gets to eat the payros. That was the takana that the rabbi said. He gets to eat the produce, right? The produce, but really belongs to her. However, if she dies, the husband will get it, and if she doesn't die and he divorces her, she gets it back. But Kozman, they're married, the husband should be able to eat the payros. So if you say the document is a fake, right? When you want to give it all away, it's a fake. So then the husband should be able to eat the payros. What kind of an evasion is it? It's not really an evasion. He should be able to eat the payros. That's why the Gemara has brought down this case over here. Because we said if that's the case, it's like something he didn't know about. And what are Rav Shimon saying in the Mishnah? What assets can she not sell, and all that we break those rules about that he can avoid? Only assets that he knows about. Because what's the person saying? The person says, the husband says, oh, if I get these assets, okay, I'll redeem her. Whatever the money's going to be. They might want $1 million to redeem her, and I don't know what they have, but but whatever the exchange is in return for my redeeming her, I'll get the asset. But if he doesn't know about the assets, it has no meaning, say the Mefarshim. And that's what we mean over here. If he didn't know about it, it's like assets that he didn't know about. Assets that he didn't know about, he doesn't get the produce thereof because he didn't know about it. The whole purpose is that he should feel he's getting something in return for redeeming her. But if he doesn't know about it, so what he doesn't know is right.
Then you don't need prenup. You don't need anything.
Correct. If that works.
Before she gets married, she writes down.
She writes on the.
I'm giving it to my father.
If it's her assets going to him, yes.
Then
That's right. That's correct. That's correct. But you have to write it exactly that way.
You have to write
It's like you write it's like a will that they say it works mehayom, right? So it should be before the if you write the document that way, that works. I don't know how that holds in common law. If you write them today, I don't know how that works in common law, but halachically, yeah, that should work. That should work. Says the Mishnah. Now let's understand the Nechsim Malug. Again, we're trying to say that Nechsim Malug, Nechasim get. Yesterday you asked about cash, or remember yesterday about cash. We're going to talk about that now. Assets which get consumed. Money disappears, right? Money disappears. Fruits disappear. Things that animals can die, as we'll see, right? But things that just normally get consumed, right? So that doesn't really protect her, right? If she has assets that let's say she got some cash, somebody $10,000 came into her, she got a Yerusha. So you want to protect her, and you want to protect the husband. The husband's entitled to do with that. So you always want when it's an asset which is going to get consumed, it's going to disappear. So this is what we do. Nafla Ksafim, says the Mishnah. Let's say she got cash. So what you do is you buy karka. Why? Because the karka will be for her. She'll have that asset, right? Buy real estate. And who'll eat the produce. So this way you accomplish both. He'll get the produce, but the Karen, the principal, will stay for her. That's what you do when something disappears. Let's say she got land. Okay, if she got land, that's what we said before. She gets land, he eats the produce. But let's say she got something which is going to disappear. The same thing. Let's say Paris Tucson, that she got a truckload of apples, showed up at her door, right? Her uncle died. He was in the produce business, and he left her a truckload of apples. The apples are also going to get destroyed and consumed or spoiled. They're going to be gone. So you sell them. You buy karka, mina karka, Paris Tucson, if they're already off the tree. You let them buy karka. Paris, the same thing. Paris and chubarim. Now, let's say though, let's say she gets land with the trees, right? Somebody left her land with the produce, right? I say Paris, I don't mean literally fruits. It means produce, right? You got to get land with wheat on it, whatever. Let's say she got land and wheat. So now, what's the point? The land stays for her, right? But he gets to eat the Paris. So what do you do there? So it's a machlokas. Paris and mechubal karka. Amar Meir says shomrosa kamu yafa Paris for kamu yafa believers. In other words, the husband, what we're saying over here is that meaning she's entitled to those payros because they didn't grow during the husband's reign, let's say. She got them before. So again, what do you do? But the payros are going to be consumed. So what you do is you figure out how much are those payros worth? How much is the land worth without payros, without produce? And how much is it worth produce? It's worth $500 more this way because that's considered her asset. That's considered the employee that you want to maintain. The Chum disagree. The Chum say no, he gets the produce no matter what. So even if she got the land with the produce on it, the husband's still entitled to that produce. Interesting, he gets the produce anyway. The hatlushin, right? If, as we said before, if she gets a truckload of produce, of apples or whatever, so fine. So sell that, as we said before, and you buy the karka with it. And that's if you look up in karka, person needs the payros. That's the idea over here. So this part stays the same. So everybody agrees if she got cash, if she got any of this. If the Chacham say if she got a piece of land with produce on it, is she entitled to that produce or he is? Rav Meir says that she's entitled to the produce, so therefore turn the produce into real estate. And the Chacham say no, he's entitled to that produce. Now Rav Shimon more or less agrees with the Chacham, but we'll see a difference in the Gemara. Shimon Omer, so you look at it this way: where he has the upper hand when he gets married to her, or when the land comes into their property, when he leaves or when they get divorced, or when they get divorced, then he has a worse hand. We're going to explain what that means. So if he has a worse hand when they get married, then Yafakov goes ahead. What does that mean? Kesed? What do you mean that? Parents of married when they're married, and when he gets them now, those are his, as we just said. According to Chacham, he gets the produce on the land. When they get divorced, shalah. If there's produce on the land and it hasn't been harvested yet, she gets that because she gets the land. He doesn't get that. Let's say they get divorced. Produce which is detached when they get married, right? When they get married or when they get married and the land comes into their possession, right? Who gets that? We said that she gets that. So you have to turn that into real estate. Shalah. Shalah. But let's say when they get divorced and there's already produce which is off the property, which has been harvested, then he gets that because he's entitled to all the produce. He's entitled to all the produce from the land while they're married. So if there's already produce that's been detached, that's his. That's his. So that's what we say. When you come into the marriage, if it's attached to the ground, he gets it. And when they get divorced, she gets it. And if it's detached, when you come into the marriage, she gets it. And when they leave, he gets it. That's what Rav Shimon explains. We'll see what to do with the money, right? We just said that if there's something which is going to be consumed, money or payros, you buy real estate with it. What kind of real estate? Let's say Arav Abati. There's a question: should you buy land or should you buy houses? Houses in those days weren't as strong as they were today, and they deteriorate and they fall apart with time. Land is land. You could always make something on it. So then if there's a machlokas between them about that they can't agree, buy the land. Land is stronger than houses. But let's say it's houses and trees, palm trees, but houses are stronger than that, meaning they'll last longer. The tree can get destroyed. Particularly, let's say at palm trees and other kinds of trees, particularly better at palm trees, those are more lasting. So buy those. Let's say it's trees or bushes like vines, then only again street stronger. That's ava. Let's say the question is this way. Rashi learns this is not the same question. Not like it's machlok between the two, between the husband and the wife, which one's better. But he says ava zurda. So let's say you had a forest with crab apples like uzradim, where the tree is not very good and it's basically used for wood. There are very few fruits. They usually take those trees and they cut them for wood. Or a fish pond. What is that? Is that considered like something consumed or consumable? So you'd rather turn that into real estate, or is it considered like real estate itself? So I'm going to pay. Some say it's payers, some say it's produce, and therefore you should turn it into real estate. I'm Lakana. Some say no, it's like principal, and you keep it. Call it a mill. So here's the general rule: gives a machlef if the stump will grow more shoots, then it's payros. In other words, then it's payros, and you want to turn that into real estate. And gives a machlef kind of then it's. But over here, Rashi and Tosfos disagree here. They're different here. So, but Rashi claims from down page Im Nafli Berusha. If these things fell to Yerusha, what do you do? Shachir Bakarku Karen Amila Kulu Havikarna. It's all Kanhova Eitzim Dagim Kom because they all disappear. So Rashi is a little bit different, even though this is principle, but it's all going to the whole thing is principle. It's not going to rejuvenate because fish ponds sort of die out, and the same thing with the trees. Once you come down, there's nothing left. Therefore, you should sell the whole thing, even though it's Karen, because it's a consumable. That's the point. It's all consumable. Some say it's like payers meaning that will rejuvenate, and therefore she can keep the eventually, and she'll have something there. And some say no, that it itself is the whole principle. It's going to die. It's going to die out. And therefore, you should replace it. I'm Rav Zera Moshe.
In her money,
okay,
as to what to buy.
Okay, because here's the issue. Because you're right. Because the Chacham said that she's entitled to the principal and he's entitled to the produce. Right. So the question is, she has her interest. She wants more of a principal, and he wants more of a payros.
But
so
no payros now.
Where? From what?
When she gets the money.
Right. No, they're going to buy the karka, and he's going to get the payros from the karka. They're going to buy the karka, and he's going to get the payros. If it's a house, they'll get rent. Whatever produce you're going to get.
But it's not here yet.
No, that's the question. What should you invest in? Because he has right to the payros. So which payros? So whatever the payros is from the land. But you first have to stabilize the Karen, her malud. You have to stabilize her long-term possession. Call it her principal. So what do you stabilize it with? You take the thing which is most stable. That's all he's trying to say, because it's all at the Kanas Chachamim. So what do? You first have to stabilize her, then he gets the payros. Listen to this. Let's say she got animals. She got a cow, and the cow gave birth to a calf, and somebody stole the calf. Okay, produce, right? The calf is the produce, right? So he should get that. So if somebody stole it, he should be the one who gets the kefil, right? For a who burgled it, right? So the Chagig Gemara says, "Come on, it doesn't go like either one of the following rabbis. The Tanya, Vlad Bemis, look, who gets the Vlad itself? Labal. So says the Tanakama, goes to the husband. That's produce, right? Vlad shifchas malug leisha. What about if a woman has a slave boy, right? She's a shifcha and has a slave boy. She gets that. Okay, why? Isn't that produce? Isn't that the produce? We'll see. Chananya ben my husband gets everything. Either one is produce. That's the produce. You got a slave as an asset, right? And or you got an animal. Either way, he gets it. So l'chara, though, we're saying over here, according to either one, though, why should the isha? Everybody agrees that the slave or the animal is a nechse malug, and the produce thereof, the baby thereof, should go to the husband. So why does she get the kefil if you steal the animal, if you steal the baby, the vlad? So I feel difficult, right? Rabbanan gave him the produce, the kefil is considered payra to payra. The baby, the calf or the baby is considered payros. But the kefil that it's going to turn into, again, what's it going to turn into? Produce serving means anything that it's going to, that's going to run off from your asset. This is running off from the asset that they didn't give it up on. Okay, so let's understand though, as long as we talked about that machlokas between Chananya and the Chachamim as to the vlad of the animal, the vlad of the isha. Chananya says, listen, this is an asset. This is having an animal or a shifcha is a long-term asset. You don't have to worry that they're going to die. So therefore, the produce thereof, she can keep that, and the produce is the baby, the calf, whatever. You're not worried that it's going to die. El Rabbanan, but the Rabbanan say what? The Rabbanan say that in the first case, Vlad Bemis Mulug Labal, but Vlad Shifas Mulug Lisha, you're worried. Why? Why does it go to the woman? Why does the woman get it? Because you're worried maybe it'll die, right? And therefore, he doesn't get the produce thereof. El Rabbanan, if you're worried about Misa, Afilu Vlad Behemis Mulug Namilo. He shouldn't get the Vlad Behemis of the Behema either, because you're worried Shifas Mulug should also. Nami should go to the husband. You're not worried about it dying, so that you're not worried that the mother's going to die or the baby's going to. So the baby is certainly the produce. So why does he say that the Vlad Shifas Mulug goes to the woman? To go to the husband, that's produce. As long as the Chacham are worried about Misa, or maybe will die. Again, what's the concern here? Cash, fruits, wheat, that will disappear. It'll all get consumed. If you leave it around, it's not gonna be. You want to give her something that's stable, meaning at least something will last. You'll always, even if an animal dies, you have the hide. You always have something to hold on to. And therefore, that you don't have to sell. So he says, in other words, you don't have to sell and turn it into anything else. The husband keeps the produce is the baby, and therefore goes to the husband. And in the case of the animal, shifcha dies, you have nothing left, and therefore that's considered hers. That's not produce, and wouldn't go to the husband. You have an animal or a baby, person. It goes to the husband because that's considered produce. Amarav, the lady was young or whatever, the shifcha was young, the animal was young. If it's an old one, as we'll see, that's different. We'll see the next Mishnah. Amarav Nachman, listen to this. Even though you say that the baby of the shifcha, this lady Aunt Shemaima has been in the family for so many years. They've been slaves with us for generations, right? Even though we say that it goes to the husband, if they got divorced, no senestam, she could buy him out. You understand? You ever say she can buy him out? Okay, buy him out. No senestam, but listen, neshvach beisavia, because that's like the pride of her father's house. Rashi calls it l'shemul teferes. These are the animals, or the farm, or the slaves that they had. that's considered father's house. In other words, she has an emotional attachment to it, and therefore she's entitled to buy him out, even though he had them while they were married. Rav Nachman. Let's say she gave him a goat. She brought into the marriage a goat for its milk. Okay, what do you say there? He gets the fleece, whatever, right? For its kind of goes to it's also to give off eggs. That's all produce, decorative of a tree to eat the fruits thereof. You don't say, oh, wait a minute, we should turn that into real estate, all these things. No, you have the produce. And why? Until it's all gone. Why? Because on all these things, you have something left at the end. You have the feathers, you have the hide. You always have something left over from the animal. So it's not cash. It's not cash or apples, which will just get destroyed over time. Oh, they'll be totally gone. Oh, nothing. I like Glima. Even she gave him a shirt. That's also pay Rabbi to wear. She brought him some shirts to wear because even after he finishes wearing them, they're all shredded. You still have a shmata. You have something left, right? On Machasabah, he can wear it and also. I'll call it until it's gone because they'll have something left. Come on, goes like the Tanya. Let's say she brought in she had like a quarry of salt or sand on a beach or something like that. She got some land there. Hareza Paris, you can use that because she always has the land. It's not going to all be consumed. Pirshal Govers, let's say you had a quarry of sulfur or Machbor Shal Sarif or a mine that they mined alum from, right? Rav Meir Shapiro, no, that's Karen. The chum save taste. No, the stuff you're going to eat from there's payros. It's not the whole thing is carrying. It'll be all consumed, like we said before with the fish pond. The chum because even all the salt and all the sulfur and all the same thing. Them look.
Why is it payros?
No, we're talking about salt in a salt mine. Yeah. No. But no, because as you mine it, you're getting more and more and more. As you're digging it out, that's considered produce. I consider you have the underlying ground underneath there. Rav Shimon Omer Makom Shefa Kocho. So Rav Shimon that what? Remember, Rav Shimon said the same as Hanakama that and when they got into marriage, even they're still attached, he gets them. That's what Rav Shimon says. He gets them when they go in. She gets them when they go out. Chum didn't say anything about Mechubar Mishas Yitzia. There's Mechubar Mishas Yitzia that they're attached to the ground. Maybe the Chachamim will say there that he gets them, that they're his, not that she gets them, but he gets them when they come in. He said he gets them. But when Shimon said the Mechubar Mishas Yitzia that she gets them, that she gets the Mechubar Mishas Yitzia, right? And therefore they're arguing about the Shas Yitzia. Nafla Avanim Shvachos is Canaan. Let's say she got some old slaves or shvachos. They might die. That everybody agrees they might die. So buy karka. Who also says Shimon Leos is low temperature. You shouldn't sell them. You shouldn't shachlis to be. No, those slaves have been in the family, etc. Don't sell them off. She would prefer. We're looking at her interest over here. Her interest is to keep those. Nafla Zaysim with Fanim. Let's say she got some olives or vines. It's Canaan also that might look like they're going to dry up. You machlichem karka. Again, sell them. The Buach Parish of says no. Like she said before, those are her. That's her family land. Don't sell that off. Amar of Khan Amar he says like machlokish shalom. The machlokas is only if they fell in her property, meaning she had the land and the stuff on the land. But if it's not her land, let's say she just owned these things, but on somebody else's land, they're very called because once these things dry up, she'll have nothing left. Oscar of Yosef, what do you mean? On somebody else's land, you say you should sell them. She just bought the rights for the fruits of somebody else's land. Avanim Shvachos nothing is a machlokes about that from Shmuel and Tanakama. So you see, Omer Kana Omer machlokes b'ser. Rav Shmuel says still no, it's Shvach. And the Tanakama says sell it. Afanim and Zayzer are on her own field, and that's the pride of her father's house. So let's say while the land, right, the land belongs to her, to fertilizer, seed, workers, etc. Let's say he spends money on this. Let's say he spent a lot of money and he only had a little bit, and then they got divorced, right? Some of them, or he spent a little bit, but he ate a lot. You don't make cheshbonos. No cheshbonos made. It's an understanding that as long as they're married, he gets to keep it. He's got to take care of the land. You don't make a cheshbon and say, well, I spent $100,000 on the land. I only got $50,000 worth of produce. You don't make cheshbonos. Whatever he took, he took. Whatever he invested. That's how it works. But let's say he spent the money and he never took anything. He put $100,000 into land. As soon as he put the money in, she says, we're getting divorced. They got divorced after he invested in the land. He's got to swear how much he spent, or prove it, and then he could take that. Tomorrow, tomorrow's Daf Pei is on the podcast, picks it up from here. How much is a little bit. So Ravasi says, I feel progress, even one dried fig, as long as he ate a derech covenant in a derech covenant in a distinguished in a nice manner. So the Gemara is going to go on to that, and on Sunday, Mirz Hashem, we'll pick it up from the Gemara after the Mishnah on the days, on Peyam days, 5 lines from the bottom of Shabbos's Amid Beis. Shabbos is the Peyam Beis, the bottom Iboilu, beginning of the Gemara on Peyam Beis. Again, that will be Daf Pei Aleph on Sunday, which we'll learn at the regular time. Shabbat Shalom L'Kulam.
Beautiful, thank you.